Sanjay Jha of the Congress, Sheshadri, Chari, convener of the Foreign Affairs Cell of the BJP, also Hardeep Singh Puri. He's been former permanent representative of India to the UN, now with the BJP. Pavan, Verma, former diplomat, now with the JDU. Prasenjit, Bose, left-leaning economist, and Leela, Ponappa, former deputy national security advisor. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let's debate. What is this excitement about Hardeep Puri? I don't understand. I mean, this whole excitement, this new love affair between India and America, everything fine. We are so special. They are so special. We are all going to script a great history together. Almost as if we forget the reality of the relationship between India and the US. The same people who a few months back were snooping on our embassies, if I may say so, Sheshadri, Chari, snooping on the BJP. The same country which didn't help us in the David Headley affair. And I can go on and on. The same country which has actually done nothing, Hardeep Puri, in pushing for a permanent seat in the UN Security Council, which till recently was blind to the terror coming in from Pakistan and is totally protectionist itself as an economy, for all that Obama says. So I don't understand. It's all very nice. Everyone wants to get a selfie with Obama, but what's the real substance of this love affair? Mr. Puri, would you like to start?
Arnab, that needs to be addressed. Relationships, Arnab, it is precisely the substance that needs to be addressed. Relationships of this kind cannot be built on the basis of enthusiasm and hype. You have to put the hype aside and you have to come to terms with dealing with the world's largest economy, which stands at about $19 trillion. It's a country which is used to having its way, and it is a country with which other countries usually in their interaction normally become more accommodative than their national interest sometimes allows.
You're saying we're doing the same.
Therefore, I think we don't have an option.
You're saying we too are compromising our national interest.
No, I'm not saying so. Not at all, not at all. I must remind you personally what my interaction with the United States has been since I was a joint secretary on the America's desk, and the then Assistant Secretary of State had questioned the JNK's instrument of accession to India. Yeah, let me complete this. I am one who says that you have to predicate your relationship on the basis of your hard national interest.
Yeah, but are we doing so?
And I think what we are witnessing today is an attempt to do precisely that.
Are we doing so?
I think so.
You think so?
Well, I'm convinced that we are.
You think so?
The very fact that we have been able to... Oh yes, I'm convinced.
Pavan Verma, are you convinced?
Been able to operationalize the commercial aspects of the... can I finish before my friend Pavan comes in?
Please. Okay, you complete and then Pavan Verma comes.
There are a number... Relationships between countries cannot be assessed in terms of just deliverables. What we are witnessing here is an attempt to try and change the dynamic of the relationship through the personal chemistry of the two chief executive officers in both the countries. Whether that will permeate and percolate down to the stakeholders in the relationship will remain to be seen. But I think the second Obama visit has gone off extremely well as an attempt at rectifying the imbalances in the relationship. With respect, and I believe with the
greatest of respect to Hardeep Puri, ask any American what is the basis of a working relationship, and he will only say deliverables, and deliverables. It's only Indians who will say relationships are not on the basis of deliverables. Ask any American diplomat today, does personal chemistry count? They'll say really no, otherwise John F. Kennedy and Fidel Castro would have been the best of friends. Relationships don't matter, hard realities and business matter, especially with the Americans. But I won't take a stance on this any further. Your friend Pavan Verma on the other side tonight. Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma, is the government infatuated with America?
You've been talking to. I just heard Richard Haas giving a contrary view on the
Hardeep, allow us to speak. Arnab, I heard Hardeep and I heard your question. Let me say this. First of all, let's take a balanced view. I believe strengthening relations with the United States of America is in India's interest. What we need to see after this euphoria, and the euphoria began by an unprecedented tweet from the Prime Minister announcing the visit before the Foreign Office could do it and before an invitation letter could go from the President of India. I think this adolescent behavior from a mature country should stop.
Why?
All countries act on self-interest. We need to see the fine print. We need to see the fine print of what has been achieved over and above the cosmetics and the pageantry. And we can segregate the 4 or 5 main areas and ask the right questions. On economics, there's been a lot of promises, but we have yet to sign the bilateral investment agreement. On defense, we've renewed the defense framework agreement, but we don't know what kind of agreement we've come on co-production and joint development. On the nuclear energy deal, I want to see the fine print of whether we've compromised on the liability issue, whether America is going to support us for entry into the technology regimes, and what impact it will actually have on the private firms who are going to bid for India if they are going to take on the liability. The most important question for me, Arnab, is strategic congruence. India has a habit of signing strategic partnerships with all manners of countries, including countries like Ukraine, etc. Here I want to know whether this visit has managed to influence the Americans in terms of their attitude to Pakistan and the pressure they can put on Pakistan to curb its terrorism against India and the
Didn't you
havens
see
that
the
it
statement
nurtures.
yesterday?
This is exceptionally important
Didn't you
for us.
see the statement yesterday? Didn't you see the statement make a reference to the Lashkar-e-Toiba, the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the D Company? How much
Arnab,
more specific do you want Americans
Arnab,
to be?
I have seen. May I just make a quick rebut to that? I have seen Americans' reiteration.
Arnab, are named in a joint
Arnab, let me answer that question since you asked me.
That they will be for counter-action against it.
Arnab, all I am saying is that the proof of the pudding lies in the future. America has made statements of intent to join with India against counter-terrorism. We welcome that. But I want to know from you, when America can exercise the kind of pressure it's exercised on Russia on the matter of Ukraine, what prevents it from exercising the right pressure on Pakistan in order to be able to curb the terrorist havens that nurtures? It's exceptionally important for India, and both countries need to fight terrorism. So I hope this visit, over and above,
you would have expected all this in you would expect all this to happen in 36 hours. You're being over optimistic, Pavan. I'll let Sheshadri Chari come in. Sheshadri Chari.
Arnab, I would like
Chari to Pavan Verma. No, let's keep it an open debate. By the way, I am not passing the baton. This is an open debate. Feel free to come in when you can. But Sheshadri Chari next. Yes, please.
Arnab, I fully agree with you. It's very strange that I hold Mr. Pavan Verma in very high esteem, but I think the Foreign Office, some of the retired persons in the Foreign Office, I am not blaming Pavan Verma on this, please don't mistake me, but they seem to be in the habit of going back to 1947, 57, 67, 87, 92, 95, 98 and then try to come to a conclusion on the basis of what happened during Vajpayee, what happened during Indira Gandhi, what happened during Nehru. I think we are living in a very different situation today. The ground realities have changed. There is a change in the atmosphere in the US, there is a change in the atmosphere in India, and we are both dealing as equals, if not economic partnership, at least as far as the strategic interest part of it is concerned, we are in a different league. I think we should understand that, and from here,
how in a different league? How are we in a different league?
Again, if you want,
Sheshadri Chari, two hands went up. Leela, Ponappa, and
this between.
Sir. How are we in a different league?
If you want me to explain this between, sorry, Arnab, if you want to explain this to me, to you in 3 minutes between two commercials, I'm sorry.
No,
I
sir, explain it to me. Explain to me. No, sir, there are no commercials on right now. You explain to me. How are we in a different league?
Strategic depth.
Or are we fooling ourselves that we are in a different league? Prasenjit, Bose, Leela, Ponappa, two hands went up. Prasenjit, open debate now. Prasenjit comes in. Prasenjit comes in. Prasenjit comes in, sir. No, sir, this is a... Sir, this is...
There is an economic area to be regained. There is an economic area to be regained. There is a strategic space that we have lost in these last 10-15 years has to be regained. So these things will have to be recalibrated.
Sheshadri, Chari, these are...
recalibration has to be done
Sheshadri,
in a
Chari,
positive manner.
Mr. Chari, we don't know the details of how you have signed the nuclear deal. We don't know whether you have compromised on the liability issue. No, 1 second. We don't know what is going to happen to... 1 minute. We don't know what will happen to Section 46 of the Civil Nuclear Liability Act.
Do you know? Do you know what compromise we have made? Then why are you using the word compromise?
Well, have you given us the details? Have you given us the details? Have you given us the details?
So, are you going to wait for the details?
So, why are the details not being given out?
Don't say compromise. Don't say compromise.
No, sir, I'm saying since you began.
Say compromise.
Sheshadri, Chari, by the way, let others come in.
There is a compromise.
Mr. Chari, see, with the Americans you don't do business. If any Indian government begins to believe now that we have got the Americans on our side and they are going to tweak so much because they want to enter the Indian market, I think we are being unrealistic.
Now nobody is naive. Arnab, nobody is naive to say this. Nobody is naive to believe this.
Mr. Chari is
I am not saying we are. I am not saying we have compromised. I am not saying we are on the side of the Americans or the Americans are on our side.
Sir, I am saying since you
India
said
is a very matured country.
Sure.
India is a very matured country. And India knows how to take the next
Okay, sir, Mr. Chari, I only want a substantiation of the point that we are in a different league. How are we in a different league? Prasenjit Bose.
Yeah, I think that what
we are in a different league in the
all
sense,
the time that he has taken.
Go on, Prasenjit.
No, my point is that I would refute Mr. Chari's basic point that they are entering into an equal relationship with the United States. Mr. Obama and our Prime Minister has announced that there is a breakthrough in the civil nuclear liability issue. Now, we don't know. The country doesn't know what exactly. This issue has been stuck for the 3 years. The clause 17B, clause 46 of the bill, we know of the act. We know that the Americans wanted us to change the law. Now it seems that those changes are no longer required, but there are some assurances that the Indian government has made to the Americans. Now we want to know what exactly those assurances are. Because if we go by the reports, if the issue is that the Indian public sector insurance companies, they are now having to bear the liability in case there is a nuclear accident, then I think that it is a compromise. It is a very major compromise. Rather than digressing from the issue, Mr. Chari should clarify what exactly has Mr. Modi agreed.
Sanjay, do you have
what
the
does
details?
It mean by breakthrough?
Do you have the details? Are you talking on the basis
do you
of
have
details?
The details?
If you are not talking on the basis, I don't have the details.
So what is I am asking you as a member of the BJP.
That is why I am saying.
But as a member of the BJP,
I am not.
What do you mean by breakthrough?
I am not the member of the government.
The United States has said that there is a breakthrough.
Correct.
Sir,
they have used the word breakthrough.
Is it a compromise? Did they say compromise?
Try to explain this.
Did they say compromise? Did they say compromise?
Did they say compromise?
Did they say compromise?
Leela,
is breakthrough equal to compromise?
Mr. Chari,
is breakthrough equal to compromise?
You don't sell out national interest by saying we are selling out on national interest.
No, sir, that's not. No, sir,
I'm asking a specific question.
Can I just explain?
No, sir, I have understood, Mr. Puri. Mr. Puri, let me, Mr. Puri. No, Mr. Puri, it's not as if we don't understand. First of all, we've gone into this issue in much depth since yesterday. Much depth. And we are aware of the details. The fact is that the government, neither Indian or American government, has come out with the exact details. All that we know is, we hear a lot of chest thumping today that our relationship with the Americans is at a different league. They are treating us differently. I am asking you, how are they treating you differently?
How?
They want to do business in your country.
How? Substantiate.
And please tell me in details, in specifics, give me one example. Pavan Verma says Pakistan, Prasenjit says nuclear deal. Give us details of what we have got from them. I am aware that we
I have two more issues, Arnab.
Leela Ponappa. Leela Ponappa in hard facts. Leela Ponappa in hard facts, what have we gained? Is it advantage India? Leela Ponappa, is it advantage India? Leela Ponappa.
Come in for a minute.
What's after Leela Ponappa? Is it advantage India?
You don't want to hear the explanation on the...
Okay, Hardeep, I have four basic points. I'm not going to get into tennis terminology. I think we should follow the Australian Open if necessary and say we've gone to the next round. But first of all, I would like to compliment you for starting this bulletin with the tribute to R.K. Lakshman, because he had the ability to cut through a lot of fluff to get to the realities. And I think we need to deal with the realities, number one. Number two, there is absolutely no room for euphoria, nor is there room for paranoia. The United States is what it is, India is what it is, and we need to deal with America on our terms in the context of what works for India and what India's national interests are. In that context, very clearly, we have passed a milestone. Something has been resolved, we believe, with regard to this particular agreement, as other agreements too have in the past seen breakthroughs, like the agreement on the WTO, Bali agreement, and so on and so forth. So we need to see what the fine print is, as many of your other panelists have said, and we should also recognize that we are not at the end of the road yet. There's an enormous amount of work to be done with regard to the fleshing out of the
Leela Ponappa, I understand you are what you're saying. You're taking a middle line. Miss Ponappa, you're taking a middle line. You're taking a middle line, but we have
realistic line. I'm taking a realistic line. Do we need to engage with the United States? We must.
Of course. Who's saying we should?
Recognizing the inherent contradictions of their engagement, very close engagement with China and the money they are pouring into Pakistan. But that does not mean that our equation with them needs to be
Miss Ponappa, we are realists. Miss Ponappa, we are not living in an imaginary. We are realists. We do believe that we need a relationship with America. But only point of contention is that you see a euphoric BJP. Today, Hardeep Puri is semi-euphoric. And if I may say so with some respect, Sheshadri Chari is completely euphoric. He says we have a completely different dynamic and relationship with the Americans. Now, I am asking on what basis are you saying that?
I would like to remind Mr. Chari.
Yes, Mr. Chari.
I would like to remind Mr. Chari respectfully that those who forget history are condemned to repeat it. That is also a very essential part of realism. We have to have a realistic understanding of how the United States functions and deal with them according to that. No room for euphoria.
Okay, so Sanjay Jha has been unnaturally quiet. Pavan Verma will come back to the debate.
My position cannot be characterized as being euphoric. It is cold realism, but cautiously optimistic. Cold realism and cautiously optimistic.
That's fine, sir, but I want to know whether you agree with Sheshadri Chari that the Americans treat us completely differently now. Different to whom? The Pakistanis, the Chinese, or the Koreans?
Arnab, let me explain. Arnab, it is the same Mr. Obama who once said that China is the natural leader of Asia. It is the same Obama who came to Indian Parliament and told us. It is the same Obama who came to Indian Parliament and told us that, look, you should not be dealing. Arnab, it is the same Obama who came to Indian Parliament during UPA regime and told us that, look, you should not be dealing with Myanmar and then still expect to be a natural leader of the world. These are all the words that Obama has told us. Today, it is the same Obama. Even then, at that time, we had told the government of India, and for the first time in probably the 60-70 years of Foreign Office, that the Foreign Office immediately put out a note after Obama left that we don't share his views on Myanmar. We had also said that we don't share America's views on China.
Sir, but where is our great advantage?
Today,
let's keep it simple.
Mr.
Chari, where is our advantage today? I want to understand this. For all those who say, Mr. Chari, for all those who say advantage India, Sir, a minute. For all those who say there is a great advantage India in what has happened in the last 48 hours, all I am trying to do is understand where is the advantage. Sanjay Jha wants to come back to the... Where is the advantage? Please tell me, let's debate it. Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha.
Advantage comes in the steps that we have to take now.
Okay, Sanjay Jha.
Arnab, Mr. Chari, Arnab, let me tell you, beyond the spectacle and the style, I think there is a complete absence of substance and specifics. And let's take an example of the civil nuclear deal, I think that Pavan talked about. I'll give you one example. The Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan. Does anybody know that today the Japanese government's financial liabilities on that are to the tune of US dollar 20 billion? 20 billion. So this big hype over this insurance pool of 1,500 crores is absurdly low. So I really don't know exactly what this whole, big deal, there was somebody from the government who said it's a done deal. Now, you are talking about
the foreign
deal
secretary
that has been passed in parliament. And here you have a government that has been, and this is a government that is so opaque. It hasn't done, there's been no political dialogue with any of the other parties. This is the same BJP party when it was in opposition that insisted on more stricter safeguards, which have been incorporated in the bill. And I think the fundamental question, Arnab, is, and I'll give you an example. President Obama, when there was the British petroleum leak in the Gulf of Mexico, he actually, through an executive order, ensured that the liabilities will be borne by British Petroleum over and above whatever was the capped liability. So if you are today if this government has actually allowed it, this is a question Mr. Chari or Mr. Puri need to answer today on your panel, that has the supplier liability been obliterated? There can be a yes or no answer. If the supplier liability is removed and the onus is on the operator, then the Newshour viewers need to know that the operator is an Indian public sector company. The insurance companies are Indian public sector. So the liability of the central government, the public sector insurance, and the operator being an Indian public sector means you, the taxpayer, and all of us on the panel are going to be
Which,
liable.
by the way, you wanted to do till 10 months back.
Equipment supplied by Westinghouse or GE.
Yeah, Prasenjit.
I mean, that's my question to Mr. Chari and to Mr. Hardeep.
The Congress,
My friend,
what the Congress
answer to my
spokesperson has
friend
said, he has
Sanjay
raised
Jha's
very
question
relevant issue.
is
This
an
is the
emphatic
crux of the
no.
matter. Mr. Chari is talking about Myanmar, this, that. We want to know what exactly is the breakthrough that Mr. Modi and Mr. Obama is talking about. What are the terms of that agreement on the civil nuclear liability issue? And BJP and the government should come clean on this. And that is a substantive issue. Don't beat around the bush by saying this, that, realism, Myanmar, we are being treated as equals, this, that. These are all, they have got nothing to do with the real issues at hand. Please, the BJP has to be made accountable for what kind of deal they have struck with the United States. The country first needs to know. Then we will judge whether it is in India's interest, whether all this is hype or propaganda or some sellout under the cover of some chai pe charcha or whatever. First, the facts should become clear. Otherwise, this government is basically acting in the most retrograde manner. It is compromising on national interest by keeping the people of the country.
Okay, one at a time. Hardeep Puri.
This has been done within the four corners.
No, Hardeep Puri and then Sheshadri.
And he has also said this is consistent with our international obligations.
Sir, that's very generic.
We have not assumed any new obligation.
Sir,
there has been no dilution.
Sir, may I? Hardeep Puri.
You cannot make generic motherhood statements.
If you don't allow me to explain it.
No, Hardeep Puri, I have to ask you a specific question. I can't allow you to make a speech. Mr. Puri, I am asking you a question, Mr. Puri. Listen to my question. No, one second. Mr. Puri, we have two options tonight. Either you can make a speech or you can answer my question. I would much rather you answer my question than make a speech. So please, here's my question. And now we'll go into details. My question is the following. Sir, you'll have to listen to my question. Sir, you have to listen to my question. Sir, you have to listen. I know there are some channels where you'll go where you'll be allowed to make a speech because people there won't understand what you're talking about. But I do, Mr. Puri, whether you like it or not, and I intend to ask you my question. And my question to you, Mr. Puri, is the following. Thank you very much. Sir, please tell me, are you in favor of any assurance that says that Section 46, which allows for proceedings to be instituted against the operator, and therefore by extension the supplier as supplier's fear will not apply to the supplier at all? Will you give the United States a written, verbal or any assurance that beyond Section 17 suppliers will not be liable under Section 46 at all? And if you do so, what will it amount to?
It will amount to Bhopal.
What will it amount to? Come on, Mr. Puri.
I am not in favor of giving any such assurance. And the best of my knowledge, no such assurance has been given. And I would be against giving an assurance.
Then what is the
because what you are dealing with here is an undefined risk. There's an undefined risk. So why would you make yourself liable to that?
Excellent point. Prasenjit is responding.
And
now we are getting into detail.
Either you accept the categorical...
No, listen, Arnab.
No, 1 second. Now, please, Prasenjit.
Mr. Puri.
Prasenjit's counter question to you, Mr. Puri.
Mr. Puri, are you aware of the liability regime within the United States? Do you know that if there is a nuclear accident within the United States, even then the suppliers are liable?
It's the same international.
The point is, why does the listen not only international, the joint statement talks about commercial viability. Now why should the Indian public, in case there is a Fukushima like nuclear accident, and we had a Bhopal gas tragedy in our country, so many, even justice has been denied till date. Warren Anderson was never brought to justice. Why should, in case there is a Fukushima-like nuclear accident in our country, why should the Indian public or the Indian government bear the cost?
Let Sheshadri Chari answer that. Sheshadri Chari and Pavan Verma on the screen. That will be answered by Sheshadri Chari.
Why should not those...
Sheshadri Chari and Pavan Verma will respond to that. First, Sheshadri Chari. Mr. Sheshadri Chari, on the issue of liability and who this liability falls to, a very pertinent question is asked on the Newshour tonight by Prasenjit. My question to you, Sheshadri Chari, and I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me, sir. Yes, you can.
Yes,
okay.
Yes,
now, in a bid, we have tried to assuage the Americans on the question of liability, saying, come do business in India. Don't worry about liability. We'll handle. We'll do something. So, you have agreed to an insurance pool which will take care of the supplier's liability. My question to you, and the response will come from Sanjay Jha and Pavan Verma on the other side to that, is this. Sir, in doing so, Mr. Chari, ask yourself, aren't you transferring the burden of the nuclear supplier's liability in the event of a nuclear accident to the Indian taxpayer?
Indian taxpayer.
To the Indian taxpayer?
This is your conjunction.
No, sir. How?
You have concluded this.
How?
You have concluded this.
How?
Has the government of India told you?
No.
Has the government of India told you given you any details?
So, okay, no, let me.
Has the government given any details?
No, but yes, they have shared some details which I can talk about. No, I can tell, I can share something with you.
Please read it out.
Okay, let me share something. Okay, I'll read it out. First of all, Mr. Chari, I never asked a question without facts at my whatever is at my disposal. So I use both the facts and my logic to come to a conclusion. I don't conjecture. My point is this, you are aware. Actually, Sanjay Jha wanted to come in, so did Pavan Verma. I am aware that 750 crores in this insurance pool will be provided by the General Insurance Corporation and 4 other public sector undertakings. So this is essentially taxpayers' money. In addition, Mr. Chari, if you look at the detail, the remaining 750 crores will be pooled in by the supplier and the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, which is the operator, which is again a Government of India undertaking. So the latter's contribution too is also taxpayers' money. So barring one half of the 750 crores, the bulk of the burden is the supplier's liability will be transferred to the Indian taxpayer as a result of the deal. That's the 1,500 crore pool. It's simple. You know it's true.
No, it doesn't.
You know it's true.
It doesn't end there.
No, where does it start then?
Finally, the American companies which are going to supply the material, the American companies which are going to contract with Government of India, the Government of India will also...
No, counters. Pavan Verma countering you now. Pavan Verma.
Insurance.
Pavan Verma countering you.
Chari Sahab, if you transfer the liability entirely to the supplier, do you think it's economically viable? It's not. So there has to be a solution. I ask you a simple question. The BJP opposed
totally different question.
Agreement tooth and nail.
That is a different question.
One question, sir. Allow me, sir. Allow me. The BJP opposed this tooth and nail. Just give us the reasons why it opposed it and why it has changed completely now.
Okay.
Exactly. I still hold it that the operator's liability and the supplier's liability cannot be separated. Nuclear capabilities A civil nuclear capabilities are not just one monolithic instrument or an organization. It has different components. It has a fuel component, a chemical component, electrical component, electronic component, mechanical component. All these components come together.
No, okay, Sanjay, okay, what Leela Ponappa wants to come in, so does Sanjay. Leela Ponappa first.
This debate.
Listen.
Okay, no, Prasenjit is coming in.
I am feeling very sorry for Mr. Chari. He is such a senior political leader and a senior representative of the ruling party.